Cheesy the Podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host, Fondue. In this week's episode of Just Cheesy the Podcast, we're going to learn a little bit more about the history of cheese going back about 4,000 years.
4,000 years?
That's right, Cheesy. Plus, we're going to learn a little bit about what they ate at the first Thanksgiving. Was it cheese?
Yay, cheese!
And lastly, we're going to learn about something a little bit cheesy. Stay tuned for the second episode of Just Cheesy the Podcast. So, Cheesy, in last week's episode, you told me you thought you came from the grocery store.
I may have been wrong.
That's okay. We learned a little bit about some of the animals that can produce milk for cheese. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about the when of cheese. Do you have any idea how long ago cheese was invented?
4,000 years?
Wikipedia says 7,000. The International Dairy Foods Association says 4,000. In either case, it's definitely a long time ago. And I guess no one really knows who made the first cheese.
It was me.
I find that very hard to believe. International Dairy Foods Association has a website, and according to them, there's an ancient legend that it was made accidentally by an Arabian merchant who put his supply of milk into a pouch, and that pouch was made from a sheep's stomach.
That sounds so bad.
Oh, cheesy. Anyhow, they put the milk into a sheep's stomach, set out on a day's journey across the desert. The rennet in the lining of the pouch, combined with the heat of the sun, caused the milk to separate into curds and whey.
Curds.
He found that whey took care of the thirst, and the curds took care of the hunger. According to Wikipedia, there's evidence of cheese making in some clay pots, and that goes back over 7,000 years in Poland and on the Dalmatian coast in Croatia. They found these dried remains, and with chemical analysis, they were able to suggest that it was cheese. It's likely that hard salted cheese was accompanying the dairy from the outset. It's the only form in which milk can be kept in a hot climate. The earliest written evidence of cheese is the Sumerian cuneiform texts of the 3rd dynasty of Ur.
Did you mumble?
Not this time, Cheesy. Ur is a place. The information from Ur dates back around the 2nd millennium BC. These cheeses were said to be sour and salty, and they were similar in texture to cottage cheese or present-day feta. There's archaeological evidence for making cheese in Egypt that goes back about 5,000 years. So by the time we get to Roman times, cheese making is considered a mature art and a common food group. Most of the cheeses were recorded in the late Middle Ages. Cheddar was recorded in 1100s, Parmesan 1597, and Gouda in 1697. That's a really long time ago, Cheesy.
I remember it well.
Yeah, okay, Cheesy. The first industrial production of cheese was in Switzerland in 1815, and by 1851 they were using assembly lines to make cheese in the United States. Factory-made cheese overtook traditional cheese making by World War II, and since then factories have been the biggest source of cheese in the United States and Europe. And I don't think it comes as a big surprise, but the biggest source of cheese in America is processed cheese.
Processed cheese, not a sponsor.
But if we had a sponsor, now would be the time. Just Cheesy the Podcast is sponsored by Just Cheesy Productions. In an upcoming TikTok, we explore whether or not the J in Just Cheesy stands for Jake. And I gotta tell you, Cheesy, Taylor Swift wants her scarf back. Be on the lookout for the video titled Red. Let's get ready for our favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
Do you know what holiday is on Thursday, Cheesy?
Thanksgiving.
That's right, Cheesy. Thanksgiving is on Thursday. Did you know that the very first Thanksgiving dates back to November in 1621?
That's 400 years ago.
That sure is a long time ago, Cheesy. The native people here called the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims were the first to have this dinner gathered together at Plymouth. This dinner was to celebrate the autumn harvest, and it's regarded as the very first Thanksgiving. But we need to find out what was actually on the famous menu. Was it what we eat today? Was it turkey and cranberry sauce, or ham and mac and cheese? Was it green bean casserole? Was it a cheese ball? Was it mashed potatoes and gravy? What exactly was on the first Thanksgiving menu? What do you think, Cheesy?
Turkey for sure.
Looks like you might be right, Cheesy. According to History.com, turkey was definitely a candidate, along with venison, ducks, geese, and even swans. There most likely would have been a lot of local vegetables such as onions, beans, lettuce, spinach, cabbage, carrots, and even peas. Corn was definitely plentiful during these times, but it wouldn't have been served the way we enjoy it now. It would have been removed from the cob, turned into cornmeal, boiled and pounded into a thick corn mush, and then that was occasionally sweetened with molasses.
I have yet to hear you say cheese.
I've got nothing for you, Cheesy. Not yet. There's lots of fruits that are indigenous to the region, including blueberries, plums, grapes, gooseberries, raspberries, and of course cranberries. They wouldn't have made sauces or relishes with the cranberries because the sacks of sugar that came across the Atlantic with them actually were depleted by November of 1621. So it wasn't another 50 years before they started boiling cranberries with sugar and using that mixture as an accompaniment for meats. Looks like you're coming up next, Cheesy. A lot of culinary historians believe much of the Thanksgiving meal consisted of seafood, which is absent from today's menus. Mussels were one of the...
I got your mussels right here.
Mussels were particularly abundant in New England and could be harvested. So they occasionally served mussels with curds, the dairy product that's like cottage cheese that we talked about earlier. Lobster, bass, clams, and oyster might have been part of the feast. So there you go. You were part of mussels and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like mashed potatoes weren't part of it, and neither was pumpkin pie, because a lot of these things weren't even available to the settlers at that point. So that's it, Cheesy. Looks like you made the cut for the very first Thanksgiving.
Go cheese.
Hey, Cheesy, did you hear about this guy in New York named Matthew Van Vorst?
Nope.
He was featured in the Ripley's Believe It or Not book called Out of the Box for his Cuttin' the Cheese.
Cutting the cheese.
His project, Cuttin' the Cheese, was actually his first venture into sculpting. He's got an Instagram account devoted to the project, and he's made everything you could think of, like the Empire State Building, a chair, a gator skull, all kinds of different things carved out of cheese.
That looks so cool. Hey, Fondue, want to hear a joke?
Sure, Cheesy.
Did you hear about the cheese truck that crashed?
Oh no, what happened?
The street was littered with debris. Get it? Debris.
I get it, because brie is just a little bit cheesy. Thanks for joining us at Just Cheesy the Podcast. Join us next week for episode number 3.
Stay cheesy, everybody.